Welcome to the world of Diffmatic. Let me introduce myself. I am Julia, the sales manager of Diffmatic. For those who do not know us yet, we are a leading company in the production and marketing of automated entrance solutions. With over 30 years of experience, we stand out quality and innovation of our products, all strictly made in Italy. We have suitable solutions for every type of need, and with these video tutorials, we will take you on a journey to discover all our products that have been designed and created to make your life easier and safer. Additionally, for our clients, we offer completely and absolutely free technical and commercial support. Are you truly ready for an adventure in the world of Diffmatic? Let's go!
Today we're going to talk about automatic barriers. Automatic barriers are devices designed to control access to restricted areas like parking lots or private entrances. They can be operated by buttons, remote controls, or other devices. They're perfect for managing vehicle passage, ensuring greater privacy and security. We have different versions of automatic barriers, and now our technician Pierluigi will explain all the details.
Today we will talk about our Berta road barrier delimiter of parking or road access. We have to divide our Berta before everything into two categories, 220 and 24 volts. Our arms can vary from a minimum from 3 meters to a maximum of 6. Of course, now I'm going to give you some information to help you out about choosing the product and its functionality. Let's take a look at how to choose our model. Of course, there are a lot of initial factors to consider. The width of the passage and, of course, the number of cycles and the safety device that we're going to apply. In Model 230, we'll have a lower number of cycles. Lower, obviously the barrier will still arrive easily on 100, 150, even 200 daily cycles, but we'll have a speed that is about 7 seconds on opening and closing, full cycle, while on 24 it increases the speed a little, it increases the number of possibilities for intensive work, and obviously since there are 24 we also have the amperometric one arrangement, which means that if the bar finds an obstacle, sensitivity detects and reverses as a safety device. Sensitivity, he detects it and goes back as. As we explained before, we have the possibility to choose our arm from 3 to 6 meters. Use 2 parallel arms. I recommend applying 2 opposing rods that they have the ability to work in parallel, or 1 for the entry and 1 for the exit. The maximum coverage is 12 meters, 6 plus 6, 20V, 1 unit, 24V, 2 unit. A single power unit, 2 units communicate. In the 24-volt version, 2 separate power units, who will work by communicating with each other about what is relevant. The safety device of photocells or edges, such as, while as regards the openings and the closures will synchronize with external receiver on both in parallel on the start if we have the need to open them simultaneously. On our barrier, possible to go and install a loop detector, which means we could have this device before the barrier opens, built in. On ground, a mass sensor, magnetic. When passing a car, the barrier is automatic, will have opening. Now let's move on to a more detailed mechanical inspection of the product. In the barrier, it's possible to insert the LED. In this case, we left for reasons. Aesthetic stickers, you can insert a 2-tone red and green LED strip and all. Movement closing color active. Active red barrier up. Green color shows clear passage. It's clear. The barrier will have the control unit on board, as we can see the transformer on board. Today we're presenting at 24 volts, so we'll only have one. We need to come to 220V. The rest will be managed entirely within the central, excluding the safety features we will always carry. Here on the control unit, needed links. The important thing be the spring adjustment, which we'll see next.
Pierluigi Fabrizio asks how many cycles opening and closing barrier.
We definitely guarantee usage over 1,000,000 cycles. Regarding the intensity, we need to assess. Pick 230V or 24 of barrier. For ultra-intensive use, choose the 24V. For residential or private use, we can comfortably opt for the 230V. This type of choice obviously needs to be guided also based on the current layout we have.
Another customer is asking us, do we have the option to install a barrier without having power at 220V available?
Yes, it might sound strange, but it's totally doable. Of course, we'll choose a 24V barrier, and we have the option to power it either with a kit, sun power, so a solar panel with a battery bank that powers the barrier. Same, or if we have solar panels on our home systems or industrial systems, we will use directly 24V.
Francesco asking what should we do if the automatic barrier isn't responding to the command.
The first thing to do is to check the safety devices. So if we have installed some photocells, edges, or radars that might be interrupting the functionality itself. Once the safety features are checked, we obviously use the power supply of the barrier itself. If needed, we'll unlock the barrier with the provided key. To unlock the barrier with the key that comes with it, specific equipment.
So how do I unlock the barrier in case of a blackout?
In case of a malfunction, blackout, or power outage, we have a hex key in 6mm we'll use to open the barrier's access panel. 6, we'll open the access panel of the barrier itself with it. The 6 key has a degree to unscrew which mechanically releases the barrier, and we have the option to move it by hand. It's best to keep the barrier open until the power comes back. When the power comes back,
Our barriers need maintenance. Routine or extraordinary?
we provide a usage guarantee beyond 1,000,000 openings. Of course, there are checks to be done at this number of cycles. There are checks to be done and carried out. Generally speaking, our motors are sealed and self-lubricating, but we can check if there are any noises that have occurred in the time or if there are any mechanical malfunctions. But all of this is totally doable with a simple check by the installer themselves.
Let's go and meet Berta. Size, we have broken everything down this. Berta and its unit come in the box. It will arrive at your home. Inside we'll find our Berta closed and complete with the central unit. Inside, a pair of stickers and more, our warning sign, our flashing light with support. For the wall, our pair of photocells and our 433 MHz rolling code radio control code, D-formatic. Installing the barrier is tensioning the spring. Our barrier will be to simply go and make the draw of the spring. So we usually leave the spring in 13, 16, or 20 feet rod. Rods 10, 13, 16 feet attached, or 20 feet of rod. The spring will need to be hooked up based on the length to its designated hole. In this case, we've put a spring attached at 10 feet with the opening to the right, which means the movement of rod will be like this. If we need to reverse the opening from the right, but to the left, we would need to move the spring a bit more on the other side of the trapezoid and attach it there in the designated hole. For adjusting the spring and tensioning it, installer unlock spring with wrench. Release the spring with a wrench, tighten the nut. The spring manually with the key provided by 6, tightening the screw like this. At that point, we'll move the rod by hand. In the manual movement of the rod, the spring will go. Pulled with the screw below, we will position the 45-degree rod and the spring must have sufficient strength to hold still the rod like this. Once this is done, we will reblock everything. We will do motoristically reconnect the rod and the engine, and we can proceed with the programming on the control panel. The spring tension needs to be done on this
threaded rod that is embedded in the spring itself. And there's the nut in the lock nut so you can adjust the strength of the spring itself. Now that we've adjusted the spring, we're going to do a finer adjustment of the limit switches. Here we have the two lock nuts. One will be for the opening and one for the closing. Opening direction, left or right in this. We have the closing limit switch. As we can see, the trapezoid is hitting on our bolt that is anchored with a lock nut to always keep its position and not have any movement. It activates the microswitch. Some adjustment slots. Our nail, without a doubt, goes to. Press the microswitch. We have some adjustment slots of the microswitch and our nail will obviously go. Positioned properly according to the bolt to press regularly. Always on the same point the microswitch, so we have. Basically, it's always the closing limit switch, the stroke, the closing limit, opening stroke.
Our control unit will look like this. We have many connections we're going to analyze with two limit switches closing and opening. This closing and this opening in reverse needs mechanical change. They will be inverted. For the inversion, we will have to do that. Mechanical gearbox, which we explained before, and obviously reverse the two limit switches at these connections. The control unit briefly has a common start connection. Pedestrian contact we won't, because it's not necessary on the barrier contact of photocell 2 or coast, photocell contact, common contact. Obviously these two contacts are for now bridged as they are not used, and contact of stop contact connects to a microswitch, connected to a microswitch on the door of the part. Motor stops during inspections or door opening. In case inspections are to be carried out or when the door is open, engine starts, stop and therefore does not create movement and we safeguard safety. Then we have another municipality. It concerns limit switch opening and closing. Closing here we have a 24-volt power supply for photocell accessories, motor connection. Then here instead we have the plus 24 connection, flashing and 2 links for the LED colors we explained previously. Here we have the courtesy light, which does not produce power but is a clean contact. We could have a light, courtesy of the tension that we prefer. Let's move on. Now on to the dip switches. The dip switches, we have a central unit, as we were saying, multifunctional in this case. We have option 1, which must always remain in off. Speaking about the barrier, since with on, it would be for the tilting option. Now it doesn't matter. Dip switch 2 for the automatic closing, dip switch 3 for the condominium, 4 for reversing in case opens right or left, reverses and run in motor, 5 for the coast option. Photocell 2 with a reversal in case of intervention to free the obstacle or stop on the. It will stop immediately while in. We'll have a reversal of about 20 centimeters. To clear the obstacle, dip 6 concerns the flashing light, because the control unit can manage both the flashing light in fixed light mode or flashing mode. Dip switch 7 is for slowing down. Dip 8 is used for motors that are equipped with encoder. Dip 9 concerns the option radio for some types of remote controls that are able to be programmed without intervention on the central, but we are talking about a specific remote control. Dip 10 is typically used on sliding doors because it makes a split between heavy engines like gates, heavy and light gates. Now let's move on to the power supply of the plug-in fuse transformer. Here we have the entrance for the batteries. We remember that the control unit can manage the connected batteries as on the batteries, because the voltage being managed is 24 volts. It means that they are normally integrated into the system. 2 12-volt batteries placed in series when there is the control unit recharges batteries. The batteries, when the power is missing. Line voltage power plant is powered directly from the batteries themselves. Let's go ahead and do the programming. Now for our remote control, let's press the Pro button. Wait a second, the LED stays on, we press the button on the remote control that we want to memorize as. We saw it flash, now it is turned off, indicating it has left programming. Now as we see in the LEDs, we have photocell 2 on, which means it's correctly in line, or bridge photocell 1 on. It indeed means that it is correctly in line or bridged, as in our case. The opening limit switch is currently active while the closing one is off because the bar. It's indeed in the closing position. Now let's go ahead and do a standard programming. To enter programming, we'll press the prog time button for 2 seconds. In programming, we start by opening new paths, then slow down to carefully consider each step, leading us to a thoughtful end. Opening run, a pulse will start for closing a break time. Let's wait for the time from us. When the desired condition is met, a pulse will initiate the process of closing a circuit or mechanism. The impulse will gradually slow down, marking the end of the closing stroke and the end of the process of the programming. Now, when we press the remote control, this whole cycle has been stored and will be reproposed with the exact same times that we certainly, indeed exactly remember. The primary main safety in this case is the closing photocell to terminal 5, 6 with contact, and which will intervene when the bar is closing, bringing it back to the opening.